My name is Amaka and you're welcome to Lizama Stitches. If you're yet to subscribe to this channel, please click on the subscribe button and subscribe, and also turn on the notification bell so that whenever I upload new videos, you'll be notified. In this tutorial, we'll be learning how to make an A-line dress for a 3-year-old girl. So let's get started. I've drawn some lines already. Now this is my starting point, which is also going to serve as my shoulder line. This is the hip point, and this is the full length of the dress, and this is the hemming allowance. I'm going to start by taking my shoulder measurements. Now the shoulder measurement I'm working with is 9 inches. 9 divided by 2 gives you 4.5 inches. Plus ½ inch for seam allowance gives you 5 inches. Now because of the style of this dress, I'm going to minus ½ inch from the shoulder measurement. So 5 minus ½ inch gives you 4.5 inches. So I'm going to mark 4.5 inches. Now the neck width, the front neck width is 2.5 inches. And the front neck depth is 2.5 inches. The back neck width is 2.5 inches and the back neck depth is 1 inch. So I'm going to mark 1 inch here. And I'm going to connect these points with my French curve. From this point, I'm going to come down by ½ inch. Because it's a child and it's going to be a kind of sleeveless, so I'm going to come down by ½ inch. And I'll connect this point to this point. I'm going to impute my divided armhole measurement. The armhole measurement I'm working with is 9 inches. 9 divided by 2 gives you 4.5 inches. So I'm going to mark 4.5 inches here. And I'll connect this point to this point. I'm going to extend this point with an horizontal line. So this is my chest point. Now, I'm going to find the midpoint of this line. So this is the midpoint of this line. Now from this midpoint, I'm going to come in by ½ inch for my front armhole. From this point, I'm coming in by ½ inch for my front armhole. I'm going to connect these points together, but before I do that, I'm going to take my chest measurement on my chest point. The chest circumference I'm working with is 24 inches. 24 divided by 4 gives you 6 inches. So I'm going to mark 6 inches here. (6 inches) plus 1 inch seam allowance. And I'll connect it. I'm going to connect this point to this point with my armhole curve. And I'll connect this point to this point. So this is my front armhole. Now for the back armhole, I'm going to come down. Now from this midpoint, I'm going to connect this midpoint to this point for the back armhole. So this is the back armhole and this is the front end armhole. Now take note, my fabric is folded into two and I have my front and my back panel here. Now because this is an A-line dress, I'm not going to be making use of the waist point. Now this is the hip point, but I'm not really going to use this line. It's only going to serve as a guide. So I'm going to take my hip measurement. Now the hip circumference, I'm going to be working with my hip measurement. Now the hip measurement I'm working with is 28 inches. 28 divided by 4 gives you 7 inches. Gives you 7 inches. Now I'm going to come down to this point. That is the full length of the dress. I'm going to mark 7 inches. Now this is 7 inches. 7 inches plus 4 inches plus 4 inches for ease. This is 4 inches plus 1 inch plus 1 inch seam allowance. This is 1 inch. 1 inch seam allowance. So I'm going to connect this point to this point. This is optional. Now another way you can do this, you can actually take your hip measurement on your hip point. Now you can say 28 divided by 4 gives you 7 inches, and 28 divided by 4 gives you 7 inches plus 1 inch for ease gives you 8 inches plus 1 inch for seam allowance gives you 9 inches. You can mark 9 inches here. Now this is 9 inches and you connect it. You connect this point to this point and this point to this point. That's another way you can do it. But even when I do it like this, even when I don't take this measurement, it's still the same thing. I'm still going to have the same thing. I'm going to connect this point to this point. So you see that even though I didn't use this, even if I decide not to use this line, at the end of the day, I'm still having the same measurement. Because when you check this, now this is still 9 inches. This is still 9 inches. Now the same measurement I have here, I'm going to mark it on the hemline. So these 12 inches I have here, I'm going to mark it on the hemline. And I'll add I'm going to add half inch seam allowance on the shoulder. And I'll connect it. So I'm going to cut it, but I'm going to start by cutting the back. I'll cut the back, then I'll trim the front. So I'll cut it. Now I've cut the back. I'm going to separate the back from the front. I'm going to remove the back. This is the back. And I'll trim the front. So this is it. So now this is the back panel. I'm going to slit the back panel because the back panel is going to have opening. Because it's going to have button. I'm going to use button for it. So I'm going to slit the back panel from here. Now I'm going to mark 4 inches. Now Now this is 4 inches and I'm going to cut it. So this is the back panel. This is the back panel and this is the front panel. This is the front panel. So I'm going to cut my facing. Look at what I did. This folded part. Now I folded, my facing is also folded, and I'm placing the folded part on the folded part. And I'm going to cut it. Now after cutting, my facing is going to be 2 inches. So I'm going to mark 2 inches. I'll mark 2 inches. And I'll cut it. So this is the front facing. Now for the back facing. I'm going to cut the back facing. My facing is folded into 2. And I'm going to place it just like this. Now from this slit, from this point, I'm going to mark 2 inches on the facing. Now this is it on the facing. So I'll cut from here to here. And I'll mark 2 inches. So I'll cut it. So this is the back facing. Now I'm going to split it. Four inches. On the front panel I have 4 inches, so I'm going to split it. So this is the back facing and this is the front facing. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and I'm going to join this together. Now this is how I'm going to join it. Now this is the right side. This is the right side of my fabric. This is the right side of my fabric. Now I'm going to turn it this way. I'm going to sew it this way and sew it this way. I'm going to sew it right side facing right side. I'm going to sew it and I'll sew it. Now after sewing my facing, this is what I have. I've sewn my facing. Now this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like. Now this is my ruffle. I've cut it already. Now I didn't cut my ruffle straight because I want it to be somehow wavy. I cut it as a flounce. Now I have a tutorial on how to make a flounce. In case if you want to know how I did this, this is not a straight cutting. Now look at this. It is a flounce. Are you seeing this? It's a flounce. I have a video on how to make a flounce, so I'm going to leave the link in the description box below so that you can check it out later. So now this, I'm going to attach this to my dress. I'm going to attach this to my dress. The front and the back and the sleeve is going to be this. This is my dress. I have sewn the shoulder. I've joined the shoulder. I joined it right side facing right side. Now this is the right side and this is the wrong side. So I'm going to show you how to attach your facing. So this is my facing. Now this is the back, this is the front panel and this is the back panel. So now this is the right side and this is the wrong side, and this is the right side of my facing and this is the wrong side of my facing. So I'm going to place it right side facing right side. And now I have this is for the button. This is for the button. So I'm going to place this. I'm going to put this inside. See? You see how it is? I'm going to put it inside like this. I'm going to put it inside and I'll sew. Now this is how I'll sew my facing. I'm going to sew it this way. I'll sew it this way. And I'll sew it this way. After sewing, I'm going to notch. After notching, I'm going to push the seam on the facing and top stitch. After that, I'm going to turn my facing inside to the wrong side. Now when I turn my facing, you will see this will be outside. And after that, I'm going to join my dress together, and I'm going to sew the sides and I'll hem the lower part. Now this is the dress. I used bias to turn the armhole, and I'm going to put button here. There will be button here, and I've hemmed the lower part and I joined the sides. Now my dress is going to have ruffles. Now this is it. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and I'm going to attach these ruffles. I'll attach these ruffles to the dress just like this. It's going to also serve as a sleeve. The ruffle is going to be this way. I'm going to pleat it. And it will also go to the back. So it's going to be something like this. So I'm going to do it and show you the finished look of this dress. I've attached the ruffles. Now this is it. This is the front and this is the back. If you found this tutorial helpful, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Feel free to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Lizama Stitches. We've come to the end of this tutorial. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video. Bye!